Welcome to another video from Indzara.com. In this video, we will be discussing about a free Excel template to calculate paid time off balances for your hourly employee. In the last couple of videos, I have provided one on the key factors in determining PTO policy for hourly employee. And in the second video, I also covered how to calculate the PTO balances for the hourly employee. So I would definitely recommend you checking out those two videos if you're interested in PTO calculators for hourly employees. In this video, I will not go into those topics. Instead, I will focus on this free Excel template that you can download from Indzara.com and then enter your own information about the hourly employee and get automated PTO report. In this video, I will go over the key features of the template and also step by step how to use the template. I will be doing a live demo as well. So if you're interested in this free Excel template, please subscribe to this channel and also post your interest in the comment section below. Now let's get started. The purpose of this Excel template is to provide a simple and effective solution to PTO tracking for your hourly employee. As we covered in the previous videos, it's not very easy to automatically calculate the PTO balances because there are so many nuances, so many flavors, so many combinations and scenarios that needs to be taken into account. This template makes all of that simple, but it's still very effective in addressing your specific business situations. The key features of the template are that it covers the most common business scenarios. It is very flexible so that you can enter your own information and customize for your business. The PTO balance will be automatically calculated, not only the balance as of now, but it can also project the future expected balance in the PTO report, which is fully interactive. You can print or export to PDF and then share with your employee. It supports right now 2 years or more of tracking. So it supports about 108 periods. So if you're doing a weekly, then you will have 2 years of tracking, but then there are ways to extend it, or you can restart it with a new file for the next 2 years. This template requires Microsoft Excel installed in your machine to use. There is a limit on 500 leave entries that you can enter. So that means if your employee is taking PTO, you can enter up to 500 entries, after which you need to start using a new file. This template can be used to track PTO for one employee. If you need to do this for a second employee, just make the copy of the entire file and then do it for the second employee. The template is built in such a way that you cannot do 2 employees in one file. However, I am working on an advanced version of this template that will support multiple employees in one file. So if you're interested in that solution, please post your interest in the comment section below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Now, before I get into the step-by-step instructions, I want to just provide an overview of the steps. So what we're going to do is to enter some policy settings. Then we will choose which days are the weekends and holidays in our company. And then we will enter the number of hours worked by the employee and also then the PTO used by the employee. That's it. And then the final step is we will view or print the employee report whenever we need. So this is the high-level overview of steps. Now let's go directly into the template and do a live demo. So this is our template. When you download the template, it will not have any data populated, but just for this illustration, I have some sample data entered. So let's go through the different sheets first. So the info sheet provides you some key articles and links that you can use to further understand more about the template. And then we have the PTO policy settings, which is where we will enter the policy related settings and the employee details. And then we go to the weekends and holidays where we choose our weekends and holidays. And then the worked hours. So we enter the data here about the hours worked by the employee and then the PTO used by the employee. And then we can now view or print or export to PDF the employee report, which is fully automated. Now there is also an extra sheet, which is optional, if you want to make adjustments to the PTO balances. So the template provides you all the flexibility to make sure that it works for your needs. So now let's go back to the step 1 and start entering information about our employee. So the first step is to enter the policy settings. So in the settings, we have the starting date, and this is the date when the template will start tracking the PTO balances from. So whenever you want to start using this template, that is the date you put in here. Anything before, any PTO that the employee took before that starting date will not be counted. And so this is the date when you are beginning to use this template. The employee details, employee name, straightforward, employee hire date. Please enter the actual hire date, even if it was many years ago before you start using the template. We want the exact hire date because we will be calculating the tenure. The starting balance is the balance, how many hours of PTO when we start using this template. So for example, in this case, my starting date is 3rd July. So as of 2nd July, end of 2nd July, what is the starting balance? Meaning what is the PTO balance for your employee? So this is provided so that if you're using another solution or a tool or a software to track PTO balance right now, but you want to switch to this template, then the date when you are switching, you put that as a starting date, and then whatever balance the employee already has in your previous tool, then you can put that in here so that you can continue to use this template moving forward by carrying over the information from your previous tool. If it's a brand new employee, then you will start with a 0 balance, so you can put 0. Now the regular work hours, this is an option that I've provided to make sure that you don't have to manually enter data. If the employee always works 8 hours a day, if the employee is working, then you don't need to put 8 every day. So what we have provided is a default work hours option. So if the employee by default works 8 hours a day, then you can put that in there. If your employee works varying hours every day, you can also put 0 here, and then I will shortly tell you how you can enter the varying work hours by the employee. So in summary, if your employee has a default number of work hours on a daily basis, then make sure that you put that in here. Employee termination date. So this is if the employee has left the company, then you can put that in there so that the template will stop tracking PTO after that date. The PTO policy, the PTO accrual period. So I've covered all these settings options in the previous video, so I'm not going to go deep into this in terms of what they are and why they or what they mean. I'm going to more focus on what options the template provides. So in terms of the PTO accrual period, you have 4 options. So you can do a weekly accrual or every 2 weeks, twice a month, or monthly. If you're doing weekly accrual, that's what I've chosen now. And then you would have to enter when is the first accrual date. So I've entered, for example, 5th July 2019. So I'm beginning to track from 3rd July, but my accrual periods are every Friday. So I put in my first Friday here, and then you can see on the right side what will be my first 6 accrual days. So you can see that it's 5th, 12th, 19th, 26th, 2nd, and 9th August. And these are all Fridays, so that makes sense that we are doing a weekly accrual. So let's say I want to change it to every 2 weeks. Now you see that it still starts on the 5th July, which I have given as input. All these gray cells are inputs, but it now jumps every other Friday. So 5th, 19th, 2nd, 16th, and all. So this is how the template creates the accrual days and accrual windows, and make sure that you check here and ensure that it meets your company's policy. So if I want to do twice a month, then I don't need to enter a date. Instead, I have to give 2 days of the month. So here I've said 15th and the last day, and 15, 31, 15, 31. So basically, if the month is a 30-day month, it'll automatically go to the 30th. So because we put last day. So let's say, for example, I want to do 1st and 15th. I can do that. And now it becomes 15th July is the first one, 1st August, 15th August, and all. So the template will automatically figure out the accrual days. There's also another option to do monthly. And if we do 15 monthly on the 15th, so it goes all the way. If I do monthly first, then every first will be the accrual days. So this is how the template decides or calculates automatically the accrual windows. So now that we've talked about the accrual period, then we go into the accrual limit, rollover limit. The rollover policy has three options. So 0 rollover, rollover limit, and unlimited. Zero rollover limit means you can specify a specific number of hours to be carried over. And then unlimited means everything will be carried over. So if I do 0, then nothing will be carried over. In terms of when the rollover will happen, we have two options, the calendar year or the work anniversary. So you can either do it based on from December 31st to 1st January, it usually will roll over, or you can do work anniversary, which means for this employee, 3rd July is the hire date, which means 3rd July every year, the rollover will happen. Probationary period is the period where the employee is not going to earn any PTO. So you can put 90 days if that's the case. If there is no probationary period, then put 0. Maximum allowed PTO balance is the maximum PTO balance limit at any time that the employee cannot go beyond. So that's, you can type in your hours. There's also an option to rounding the PTO balance to different decimals. So you can put in your values, like if you want to do it 3 decimals or 2, you can just type that in there. The last one here, or the more very important one though, is the accrual rate based on tenure. So this means that the employee is employee who's starting, which means they have completed 0 months, which means they are brand new. They will earn 1 hour of PTO for 40 hours worked. But then once they complete 12 months of tenure, they will earn 2 PTO hours per 40 hours worked. Once they reach 24, they will earn 3. So all the employees after 24 months of tenure will earn 3 PTO hours per 40 hours worked. This is the tiered accrual rate structure based on tenure, which means that the loyal employees will be rewarded more. If in your organization you have different tiers, you can enter them here. By default, you can have up to 6 tiers, but if you need more, you can unprotect the sheet and extend the table and add more tiers. However, if all your employees are having the same accrual rate, then you can just, for example, remove this part, and that means every employee will earn the same rate, which is 1 per every 40 hours worked. So I'm going to keep that there for now. There is some data entry validation here. So if we enter the wrong dates here, and these 2 dates cannot be out of sync, for example, let me go back to weekly. So if I put in let's say I put December here, my first accrual is happening in December, but I'm starting to track on 3rd July. So that doesn't make sense for a weekly. And so you will get an error. If there is an error, please fix them before you move to the next sheet. So ensure that the dates you're entering here are valid dates. Now it says no data entry errors, so we should be good to go. So now that's about the policy settings, the more complicated settings part. Now let's go into the next one. The weekends and holidays are very straightforward. You just choose which days are weekends in your company. And in this case, I've chosen Saturday and Sunday to be true. And company holidays are the list of days that your company does not require employees to work. So you can just put in all these dates here, and you can enter for multiple years, just like I've done here, and you can just keep adding the dates. And if once you reach to the end, you type in the next one, the table will automatically expand. That's straightforward. The number of hours worked is the next input. One thing to note here, one important thing to note here is that you are only going to enter the adjustment. So for example, if I show you again, the default work hours for this employee is 8. That means the employee is going to work for 8 hours normally every weekday. And if it's a holiday or a weekend, it will not count as work hours, it will become 0. Now, if you want to adjust, let's say for example, if the employee is working, in this case, -8 means that the employee is not going to work on 14th October. And that means I have to put -8 because I already have default 8 hours. So the employee total will become 0 for that day because I'm doing -8. So enter a negative value if the employee worked less than the default hours, enter a positive value if the employee worked more. So for example, in this case on November 1st, the employee worked for totally 9 hours, but I'm not going to enter 9 here. I'm going to enter 1 because I've already entered 8 as my default in the settings. So this will simplify and reduce your data entry because you're only going to enter the work hours when it deviates from the default hours. Otherwise, if the employee is always working the regular hours, then you just don't have to do anything in the sheet. Next, we go to the PTO used. These are the dates when the employee is actually using the PTO hours. So this means from 25th October to 25th October, because this sheet can handle multi-day vacations. So if your employee is doing it only taking a PTO for 1 day, then you will enter the same date. So 25th to 25th, it's just 1 day. And the number of hours every day that the employee is taking PTO is 1 hour. So that means on 25th October, the employee took 1 hour of PTO. This means that from 7th May to 8th May 2020, the employee is planning to take 1 hour of PTO every day. So 1 hour on 7th, 1 hour on 8th. This is very important that you need to be entering the daily hours, not the total. So you should not be entering 2 hours here because there are 2 days. You should be entering the daily. So that means 1 hour each on 7th and 8th. In all these sheets, you can add more columns easily by just typing in another column here and then entering the data. As long as you're entering it to the rightmost, to the end, it's okay. Please do not insert in between the existing date columns. Now that we have entered all the information, now we are ready to go and take a look at the PTO report. So the PTO report is fully automated. So let's break it into 2 sections. The one in the top is the employee summary, let's say, which shows you the balance, current balance. So today is 24th November, and so you can see the current balance for that employee. You can also type in another date and say, okay, as of then, what will be my projection? So it will project automatically for that specific date. So you can customize this. And then this is already automatically set to today. And then the balances are always the balances at the end of that day. So end of 24th November, it'll be 6 hours. The details provided here are policy details. So whether you have the weekly accrual period or monthly, everything that you entered in the settings are also displayed here so that you can make this a 1-page printout, which you can give it to an employee, which shows not only the balance, but also the policy. The rollover policy, probationary period, maximum balance, default hours worked, everything is displayed. And here we have employee specific details like the date when the employee was hired, when is the employee eligible to accrue from, because there could be a probationary period. And then the first day of accrual is this day. So everything is shown. It also shows from when this template is tracking PTO from. This is our starting date. Now the bottom section is more interactive, where you can type in 2 dates, so from date and to date, and then this will allow you to customize or make this calendar dynamic. So for example, I've entered 1st July to 30th June 2020. So that is what I will see in this calendar view, and it'll show the number of hours totally worked, and then the number of PTO hours used. And then the black background fill dates are the dates when the accruals are happening. So October 4th, 11th, 18th. So these are the dates when the accrual are happening. And we don't see anything in the first 3 months because we have a probationary period of 90 days. And that's why there's nothing shown on that. And then the other option to customize this view is basically you can change it to say, do I want to see the worked hours? So how many hours the employee worked? And then it'll now show the number of hours worked by the employee. If you want to change it to balance change, this is how many hours, by how many hours did the balance change? For example, when I change it to PTO used, I can see that the employee used October 25th, 1 hour of PTO. May 2020, 7th and 8th of May, 1 hour of PTO. So if you remember, that is the PTO used we entered here. Everything automatically comes to your report. Then on the right side, we have the start and the end balances. So if you, we look at the beginning of that month and then the end of that month, what is the balance? So you can see that it goes from 0 to 1. Let me also show balance change. So you can see that the balance that is changing once a week. Then at the end of the month, we had 1 hour PTO balance. And then the next month it became 7, 11, and then it went down to 5 again. And this is because there is a rollover, 0 rollover policy. So at the end of December, we had 11. And then when we begin January, it's 11. However, the first window of January, we will apply the rollover policy. So since we had 0, that's where the balance is going down. And then at the end of the month, we still came back up to 5 because we have earned the balances like 5 weeks of work, and that added up to 5 hours of PTO. And similarly, it goes on. And if you have like a maximum limit, that'll automatically get applied. So the balances at the beginning and the end of the month are shown here. And then they are also displayed here in a chart at the bottom where you can see the balances going up or down. Now this covers the PTO report. And then the last sheet, which is optional, is if you want to make any adjustments. So for example, any specific date, if you want to make an adjustment. So you don't have to make any adjustments for normal working or PTO used because you're already entering them here, right? However, let's say the balance that the employee shows today, let's say it says 6 hours, but you are making an ad hoc adjustment. So maybe you're saying, I'm going to reward my employee with 2 extra hours because he's done a great job or she has done a great job at work. And you may do such adjustments. In that case, you can come in and enter that information here, put a date, and then it'll automatically add to the balance. So it will get displayed here on the balance as the, depending on which date you put in, on that date, the balance will get updated using your adjustment. So that covers pretty much everything we have in this template. Just to do a quick recap is enter your policy settings, ensure that the accrual days are matching your expectation, and then you go and enter your weekends and holidays. If the employee is working different hours, enter the work hour adjustment. And every day that the employee has taken PTO or planning to take in the future, put them in here. And then you can go to the PTO report, automatically see the current balance, also project a balance for the date that you want to see. And you can also customize this calendar for any from and to dates, and you can change what you want to display on the calendar. And you can print or export to PDF. It's just a simple Excel file. There's no macro or hidden code. All the other features would work. And if the sheet is protected, if you want to unprotect it, you can do that using Indzara as the password. However, before you make any changes, ensure that the formulas are not broken, and you always should make a backup copy before you make some changes. You are free to change all the colors and formatting and the fonts, and you can customize it according to your design needs as well. If you have any questions about this template, please post your questions in the comment section below. If you have any feedback, if you find this template useful, please subscribe to this channel and then share this with your friends. And it'll be great to get your feedback in the comment section. If you're interested in the template which will track multiple employees in one file, please post it in the comments, and I am working on such a template to be published soon. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next video.